Chapter 2, Exploring Data with Tables and Graphs. Characteristics of data. Please write this down and put it in your notes. Center, a represented value that shows us where the middle of the data set is located. Variation, a measure of the amount that the data values vary. Distribution, the nature or shape of the spread of the data over the range of values, such as bell-shaped or normal approximation or something like that. Outliers, sample values that lie very far away from the vast majority of the other sample values. In time, any changes in the characteristics of the data over time. So these are the characteristics of the data we'll be studying in this chapter. Summary 1, Lesson 2-1, Frequency Distributions for Organizing and Summarizing Data. Objectives: to develop an ability to summarize data in the format of a frequency distribution and a relative frequency distribution. For a frequency distribution, identify values of class width, class midpoint, class limits, and class boundaries. All right, a frequency distribution or a frequency table shows how data are partitioned among several categories or classes by listing the categories along with the number frequency of data values in each of them. For instance, let's see here. We'll do time. Let's see. Time. And we're going to do it in seconds. And then we got the frequency is here. And let's see, 75 through 124. And we'll say there's 11 of those. And this is how long you might spend waiting in line at McDonald's. And we got 125 through 174, and 24 of those. And then we got 175 through 224. And we'll put 10 in there. And then we got 225 through 274, and 3 there, and then we'll say 275 through 324, and we'll say 2 there. So this is what a frequency table may look like, something along this line, and you've seen them, I'm sure. Parts of the frequency table. The lower class limits, the upper class limits, smallest number, lower class limits, the smallest number that can belong to each of the different classes, upper class limits, the largest numbers that can belong to each of the different classes. Class boundaries, the numbers that are used to separate the classes, but without the gaps created by class limits. Class midpoints, the values in the middle of the classes. Class width, the difference between two consecutive lower class limits in a frequency distribution. So let's try a few. What we did a minute ago, see, we had time, and that was in seconds. And then we had the frequency. And let's see, so before 75 through 124, so you would say that the lower class limits would be 75 and upper class limits would be 124. And then we had a frequency of 11, so, and then we had like 125 to 174, and then 175 through 224, and then 225 through 274, and then 275 through 324. A little off there. 324. And then there was 24 of these, and 10 of these, 3 of these, and 2 of those. So your lower class limits are going to be 75, 125, 175, 225, and 275. And your upper class limits would be 124, 174, 224, 274, and 324. These are your upper class limits. And then class boundaries, the numbers used to separate the boundaries but without gaps. The class boundaries for this might be like 124.5. That would be the upper end, and then 174.5, and then 224.5, 274.5, and 324.5. All right, now class midpoints, the values in the middle of the classes. So basically you would take 75 plus 124, and you would divide it by 2. And let's see here, 75 plus 124, and then divide by 2, and that gives you 99.5 equals 99.5. Okay, and the last one that we had there was class width, difference between two consecutive lower class limits. So you would take 125, you would subtract 75 from it. Well, we got 125 minus 75, and that would equal 50. Okay, so that's how you find those. Make sure you put that in your notes. Procedure for constructing a frequency distribution. First step is to select the number of classes, usually somewhere between 5 and 20. Step 2 is calculate the class width. The class width is the maximum value minus the minimum value divided by the number of classes. And go ahead and put these in your notes, and I'm going to show you an example here in just a minute that shows you how to do all this. Number 3, choose the value for the first lower limit by using either the minimum value or a convenient number below the minimum. Number 4, using the first lower class limit and the class width, list the other class limits, lower class limits. List the lower class limits in a vertical column and then determine and enter the upper class limits. Take each individual data value and put a tally mark in the appropriate class. Add the tally marks to find the total frequency for each class. Okay, we're going to do that. Let's see here. So we have some data here, and drive-through service times for McDonald's lunches. All right. So first off, we got to determine how many classes we have, right? And it may seem kind of arbitrary. Sometimes you'll pick a number, then you'll do the data, and then you'll decide that maybe you need a different number. So we're going to start off with, we're going to choose 5. We're going to have 5 classes. 5 classes, all right? So step 2, the class width. So we need to find the largest number, and maybe 308 here is it. Maybe 308. You see anything bigger than 308? And then the smallest class, I'm thinking it's going to be 83. So our class width is going to be 308 308 minus 83, and we're going to divide that by 5. And we're going to get 45. We're going to get 45. Well, 45 is not like a super easy number. It might be more convenient if we use 50. All right, let's use 50. Okay, so let's see, our lowest class number here was 83. All right, so I'm gonna drop it down to 75. So I'm gonna do 75 for my lower class number, 75, and then add 50, and that gives me 125. Add 50, that gives me 175. Add 50, that gives me 225, and 275 for my last one. Now, so one below 125 is going to be 124. And let's see here, it's going to be 174. And this is going to be 224. And this is going to be 274. And this is going to be 324. Okay, so now I've got my lower class limit, I got my upper class limit. So that's steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now it's time to do the tally. So 107 is going to be 107, that's right there. And then 206 is going to be right here. And then 91 is going to be right there. 123 is going to be right there. 146 is here. 139 is right there. 187 is here. 113. 153. 90. 197 is right here. 169 is right there. 153 is right here. 155. 144. 209 is right there. 83. 255 is here. 154 is there. 119 is here. 281 will be down there. 127 is right here. 252 is right there. 100 is right here. 135. 254. 133, 200, 117, and another 117, 151, 163, 140, 101, 197, 150. Yes, this does sometimes take a little bit when you got a bunch of them. 143, 167, 138, 171, 127, 130, 148, 186, 190, 308, 144, 184, 196, let's see, 240, and then 169. All right, so what do we got? 10, that's 11 right there. Let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20. It should be 24 there. 24 there. And then that should be 10. and 3 and 2. Okay, so that's how you take some raw data and then you put it into a frequency diagram. I put one of these in here. It was supposed to have been right there. All right, so there we go. And then relative frequency distribution. Now we're going to take what we got before, and we're going to make it into a relative frequency distribution. So you're going to have time in seconds, and then we'll put relative frequency. All right. Now, to do that, we're going to have to go back here, and then we're going to have to add up all of ours. And then 11 and 24 and 10 and 3, and that should equal 50. Okay? So that's 50. Let's go back here. So we've got, let's put our stuff in. And we've got 75 to 124, 75 to 124, 125 through 224, 225, 225 through 274, 275 through, let's see, 75 to 124, 125 to 174, 174, too many on that one. And then 175 through 224, and then 225 through 274, and then 275 through 324. All right, now, in this first column we had 11, and we're going to divide it by 50. 11 divided by 50 is 0.22, 0.22, or 22%. Okay, and then let's see here, and then we've got our next one. We had 24, so we're going to have 24 divided by 50. So 24 divided by 50, and that's equals 0.48. So we would have 48% for our relative frequency. And I'm just putting it in here so you can see it. And then we had, let's see, it was 10 over 50. So 10 divided by 50 is 0.2, or 20%. And then we have, it was 3 divided by 50. It's 3 divided by 50 is 0.06, or 6%. And then we had 2 divided by 50. 2 divided by 50 gives us 0.04, or 4%. Okay? So that's that. That's relative frequency. And then the next one is the cumulative frequency. All right. So I'm just gonna erase this right here and do it right over the top of that. Cumulative frequency. All right, so we had 11, right? So we start off with 11. And then the next one, we're going to take 11 plus the 24, and that's going to give us 35. And then we're going to have 35 plus 10, and that's going to give us 45. And then we're going to add 3, that gives you 48, and then we're going to add 2, and that gives you 50. Okay, so there's a cumulative frequency histogram, or not histogram, but table. All right, now it's your turn. Drive-through time seconds for McDonald's dinner, not lunch, but dinner. You're going to make a frequency chart with 6 classes, and then you're going to use a relative frequency distribution and a cumulative frequency distribution like we've already done. All right, folks, great job, and I will see you in class tomorrow, and have a wonderful evening.